Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS England on the Forecasters Camp, coming back with another lesson to help edify those of which I spoke of. I always like to start by saying we are the real Hebrew Israelites, and the real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly. But you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because we as a people have been scattered among all nations through our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and the 18th verse tells you that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. And I emphasize the word forefathers there because, the scriptures clearly say, I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed and then Eve. And the scriptures also say, my voice is to the sons of men. Unto you, O men, I call my voices to the sons of men. I'm going to get both those scriptures I'll go to both those scriptures in a moment, but let me just set the stage for this bullshit, man. I'm calling it out as bullshit because that's exactly what it is. Now, I saw this video on the brother Shalom Israel, brother from stateside. He put this video up a little while back, and I saw it, and I planned to do a video on it, so I screen recorded it, but it fell to the bottom of the shuffle. And sometimes things happen like that when you in your mind you think you're going to do one video, then something else comes up, and you do a video on that instead. But I believe I spoke about this when I was at the main camp on Saturday, because this is just a prime example of unruly women, man. I mean, you got this woman here shouting at the top of her voice. And first and foremost, right, women aren't supposed to be teaching, man. Women ain't got no place teaching the scriptures. That's not their lot. The scriptures clearly say that all things be done decently and in order. And the Most High is also not the author of confusion. So this woman screaming at the top of her lungs here, she's just causing nothing but confusion. Now, this is very interesting because, as I said, brother from America, Shalom Israel, put this video out. And I'm guessing he doesn't know where this is, but I know exactly where this is because, I'm from here in the UK, and I recognize this place. I don't recognize this woman, but I recognize this place. I'm going to call it out. This is Bond Street Station. Now, Bond Street Station is a very, very, very busy tube station in central London, which connects to, it doesn't really connect, well, it connects to on the underground, but it's, actually, it does connect to Oxford Street. Now, Oxford Street is, I believe, the busiest shopping road in Europe, if I'm not mistaken, if those stats are still correct. So it's a very, very busy tube station. Now, this is just complete folly because you've got this woman here trying to preach in a tube station. That's just madness. I mean, when brothers are out there and they pick camp spots, it's done through the Spirit, and oftentimes you're gonna want to pick a spot that is safe for you, because remember the scriptures say we are as sheep in the midst of wolves, and another precept says, "Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." You got to know when and where is appropriate, And even Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, says, to everything there is a time and a season, to every purpose under the heaven. You even go in that chapter, I believe it says there's a time to speak and a time to keep silence. This woman isn't observing any of those precepts. Like, none of these precepts that I've roughly paraphrased so far have applied to this woman. But she's out there basically being unruly and rebellious. And there's another scripture, it says rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So really what this woman, she's doing is she thinks she's doing good, but really she's being nothing but an unruly witch. Furthermore, Look at her with a little, with a little big booty, wearing them stupid trousers. Women aren't supposed to be wearing trousers. You know, the woman's not supposed to wear that which pertaineth unto a man. Neither is a man supposed to put on a woman's garment. So she's going off in all kind of areas, but yet here she is trying to preach the gospel to people. She don't even know the gospel because she's preaching some white Jesus, some Cesare shit. She ain't preaching Yahushua, and even if she did know about Yahushua, she ain't got no business going out there and opening her mouth and doing what she's doing. She's completely out of order. Let's play this again. Like, you couldn't marry a woman like that. You never have any peace, man. She'd always be shouting at the top of her lungs because, look, man, there's a lot of old school Benjamite sayings. I'm trying to think of how it goes. My mum would bust some of these. How does it go? I can't phrase it the way, you know, Benjamite, like my grandma or my mum or my aunts or whatever would phrase this, but I'm gonna try and put it in a way that makes sense. Basically, if they can't be if they're not disciplined at home, they're not going to be disciplined abroad. So basically, this woman's carrying on bad outside. Do you think she's going to carry on good inside? When I say outside, I mean out in the streets. Like, here she is in the streets, you know, being unruly, disorderly. Do you think she's going to be ruly and disorderly in her own home? No, man. Look at her, man. Even her posture's like, it's like, you know, that feminine posture. Now, there's nothing wrong with the way a woman stands in normal situations, but in this situation, it just looks fucking ridiculous, man. Like that weak ass posture. You know, as I said, she's wearing them trousers with a stupid big ass, and trying to shout at the top of her lungs to preach to people. Who is she reaching? She ain't reaching nobody, man. And again, she's probably got some fucking simp ass dude holding the camera here for her because he's just trying to get some box. So he'll do anything. He'll be like, you know, one of those friend zone dudes. You know, how do they say that, the dreaded friend zone, where a guy doesn't know how to make a move on a woman, so he'll cling to her like a leech, trying to be a friend, and she just keeps him in that friend zone at arm's length forever. It's like playing Monopoly, that board game. You know, don't pass. You know, go straight to jail. Don't pass go. Don't collect £200. You just sit your ass in jail. That's the friend zone, and you can tell the person holding the camera is just some fucking simp, probably from her church. You know, trying to back her up on all this kind of shit, blowing smoke up her backside to make her think she's doing something good. She ain't doing nothing good, man. She's actually doing a lot of evil here. And also, this goes to show, like, look at her with a loud mouth. This goes to show the difference between men and women. If brothers from the camp, well, they'd get cursed out anyway if they tried to do this, because this isn't something we do. But let's just say hypothetically, a couple brothers did try and do this. You know how fast the police would be on your ass, telling you got to move, or arresting your ass? See, this is the thing. We live in a very matriarchal society where women can get away with a lot of shit that men can't. Because if a police officer was to come and talk to this girl, you know, he'd be taking all the bass out of his voice, trying to be all sympathetic to her, and, oh, well, you know, I understand what you're trying to do, but you can't do this here. This is a, you know, this is a, what do they call it, private property. You know, you can't be preaching here. Whereas if brothers tried to do this, they'd fucking get you in an arm bar, and your hands behind your back in handcuffs, and your ass thrown face first in the back of they call it a bully van, isn't it? You're thrown face first in the bully van, and before you know it, your ass is sitting in a cell. You know, you wouldn't be able to get away with this, and especially as a so-called black man, you know, or a so-called you know, Latino or Hispanic man, but mainly over here. Jake gets it. Southern Kingdom Jake get it hard, man. Speaking of which, man, just to put this out there, you know, Jake gets it hard on a day-to-day basis. I get it hard on a day-to-day basis being a so-called black man in this society. But you know what's even worse? If you're with brothers, right? So just say you two of you, you and another brother, or maybe three of you, you see how people start looking at Jake then. 2 or 3 Jake together, everybody's side-eyeing you. We had a fucking ridiculous situation. Multiple ridiculous situations, man. Check this out, right? There's a time when not too long ago, a couple of brothers, we went to the elder's house to do a sit down. And, you know, he lives in a particular block of flats. And when we was going to approach the block of flats, you know, the sun was down. So obviously when the sun's down, they treat Jake like you're a fucking vampire. Like, you know, the sun goes down and all of a sudden you're the worst thing on the earth, a so-called black man, especially if there's 2 or 3 of you together. Oh no, the other nations can't have that. So, you know, we was approaching the elders' flat, not causing no trouble, walking peacefully. And there was some fucking, maybe some Moabite dude, I think. You know, he was in front of us. And he went in the flats, and it's one of those ones where, you know, you press the buzzer to enter into the flat. He didn't know whether he lived there or not, but he walked in before us, and the dude was trying to pull the door shut so that we couldn't enter. I mean, like, what the fuck's that? You know, that's how these other nations treat Jake, man. You know, in other situations, like, you know, another time when we was visiting the elders, same thing, to do a sit down. You know, we went into the building. This time there was another Moabite woman walking into the elevator. We all just stood back and like, nah, we ain't getting in there. Because, you know, if 4 Jake get in the elevator with one other woman of another nation, you know, she's going to feel threatened, and all of a sudden it's going to be, you know, they assaulted me or some bullshit allegation. You know, Jake, you got to think about these things, man. As I say, especially Southern Kingdom Jake over here in the UK. Now, bringing it back to this point here, there's no way in hell we could set up and start preaching inside a tube station, any tube station, man, even one that's not in you know, the heart of central London. You'll also be told to move out, man. I mean, there's been times when, you know, I think a while back now, we setting up small camp, just me and another brother, outside a tube station, and we're told, no, you can't preach here, you got to move on. You know, we've got to move down the road or move around the corner, man. So how the hell is it this bitch can run up there in fucking Bond Street Station, you know? Bond Street Station, to those of you who maybe live abroad, you don't understand the emphasis I'm putting on that, but Bond Street Station is a major tube station, right? In the heart of central London. And this bitch is up in there talking shit and screaming at the top of her lungs about how desperate are you to reach the lost with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So she thinks she's professing her faith by doing this, but no, she's just professing her foolishness. Let's get some precepts. Where are we at? There we are. There we are. What are we getting? This is Proverbs 8 verse 4. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. Let's read this again. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. Straight into the point. What the hell is it messing up? First Timothy 2 and verse 12. says, but I suffer. No, let's read up. Hey, this is the whole chapter is good, man. Let's read this. Oh. From verse 9. 1 Timothy 2 and verse 9. In like manner also that the women adorn themselves in modest apparel. So that woman wasn't dressed in modest apparel because she was dressed in things which pertain unto a man. So she's going off. It says, so in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women, there you go, professing godliness with good works. Here's the key. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed and then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman, being deceived, was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. So if this woman had any damn sense, she'd know that her lot is not to be out there trying to teach the word. She'd be content to just be like, you know what, man, I want to get down with a man of the elect and serve him, and through him, Lord willing, I might receive salvation. But she don't know that. All she thinks is that I'm going to go out there and shout at the top of my lungs because I'm a woman and I need to be heard and I've got an inferiority complex. So I'm going to wear trousers to show how strong I am. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to shout at the top of my lungs in one of the biggest and most popular train stations in London because I want to show that I'm more than a man. You know, I'm more than a man. I really believe in Jesus and I'm going to go out there and show how much I love Jesus. And I want all these people to see me and I want them to respect me because I don't respect myself because I've got a chip on my shoulder because I'm a woman and I've got a big booty and guys only like me because I've got a big booty. But, you know, I want them to see there's more to me. Yeah, right. Wishful thinking, my dear. Ain't going to happen, especially not that way. You see, a wise woman, right? A wise woman wouldn't be like, oh, guys are only looking at me because they find me attractive, because a wise woman would understand that's what a woman was made for. You know, women were made for the pleasure of the man. Now, that's not to put women down, but the point of the matter is that a woman can be quiet but powerful. Let me say that again. A woman can be quiet but powerful. What do I mean by that? In that if she supports her husband, she becomes, she strengthens her husband. You know, there's a scripture, let me get that, hang on. Yeah, I know the one it is, just pulling it up here. There's two precepts I can get on this point to make the point. But I'm going to get this one first. This is in Sirach 25 and verse 23. Pull it out, pull it out. Sirach 25 and 23 says this. Where we at? It says, actually, there's a couple of good cuts here. Let me pick them out. Get all the meat off this bone. So, Sirach 25 verse 22 says, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. See, that's in this society. Women resent caring for their husbands in this society. They resent their husbands because they really hate men. As I say, they've got this huge inferiority complex and they want to be men. They don't want to be women. So women out here, they're not wanting to be servants unto their husbands. But anyway, Sirach 25:22, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. Here we go. A wicked woman abateth the courage, and maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. Now there's another precept which actually ties into this, because this is something that we're commanded to do. I could get, I will get, I shall get, I intend to get. Isaiah 35 and verse 3, which says this. Isaiah 35 and verse 3 says, strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. So do you see what I'm trying to say here? If a woman maintains her husband in a righteous way, she's actually strengthening him. So therefore, she becomes strong through making her husband strong. And ultimately, that strengthens their family unit. And what does strong families make? Strong nations. Because nations are comprised of families. Which is why Esau found it so important to destroy the family unit. And how did he do that? By giving women independence. When a woman is independent, she doesn't want to support her husband. She doesn't want to take care of her children. She wants to be out there working. And what happens to the family? The family falls apart. The children end up getting raised by the public school system, and they become the property of the state, not the property of the father. The father often gets kicked out of the house because the woman thinks she can do all bad all by herself. So, where was I before Sirach? $25. So this is an example of how not to be, essentially, man. So those of you sincere sisters who are watching and learning, take this as an example of how not to behave. You know, because in this truth, as the elder Apostle Gabal always says, you're going to have good examples and you're going to have bad examples. This is a bad example. A lot of women can learn from this, how not to do it, how not to behave. Just stay in your lane, play your part, and be content with the part you've been given. Excuse me. This is Sirach 25 and 16. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. And as I said, this is clearly an example of a wicked woman. Let's play it again. Imagine trying to keep house with a woman like this. See, a lot of simps would think that they could tame a demon like this, but no, nah, man. She'll have you looking crazy, man. There she is quoting John 3:16 without any understanding. You know, that's the typical that's the what is it, the Christians last resort, first, last and only. That's the John 3:16 is Christians' first line and only line of defense when it comes to the scriptures. Imagine that. You got a whole Bible full of 80 books and you only learn one verse, John 3:16, and you think that that's the totality of what the scriptures is about? Fuck you, idiot Christians, man. How dare you? How dare you? To think that our Lord and Savior, Yahushua, had to die, be crucified. No, first of all, to be, betrayed, scourged, spat upon, mocked, punched in the face, then to be crucified. And then, and only then, was he able to loose the seals of the book as pertaining to Revelation, the 5th chapter. Yahushua had to go through all of that so that we could get the understanding, right? And as I said, 80 books in the entire Bible, including the Apocrypha. and you only want to learn one verse out of 80 books. And look, how many chapters is the book of Psalms? What, 150? I think the book of Psalms is the longest book in the scriptures, and that's got 150 chapters, right? And how many verses in each chapter? I believe Psalms 119 goes up into the hundreds, if I'm not mistaken. Hang on a minute, let me pull up my sword. Yeah, it is Psalms 119. I was correct. That Psalms 119 has 176 verses in it, and that's just in one psalm. Psalms 119 goes up to 176 verses, and you Christians are so fucking lazy, you're only going to learn one verse out of the whole book? Damn you all, man. It makes perfect sense why the Lord ain't dealing with you people. Because you're ungrateful, and you're arrogant, and you think you know it all when you don't know shit. It's like, how can you be so deluded to think you learn one verse out of a whole book? It's like, man, imagine I was doing a book review, right? And like, you know, let's bring it back to like secondary school type shit, where you got to read a book and write a fucking essay on it, right? And they give you the homework over the weekend. You got to give the essay in on Monday. Man, I fucking hated school. But anyway, for the purposes of the analogy, I'll follow through with it. So they give you the book on like the Thursday or some shit, and they'll say, oh, the homework's due in on Monday morning, right? So you're sitting there, you got this book, right? And you open the book, right? And you don't even read a paragraph. Like, let's say the book has 150 chapters, let's be fair, right? So you're telling me, right, that you're not going to read even one chapter or one paragraph. You're just going to read one verse out of the entire book. And then let's say you're going to base your essay on that. So you turn up to school on Monday morning, you know, looking all shaky and shit because you know you done fucked up, right? But you're hoping you can like get a pass or some shit. And the teacher's looking at your ass, right? And like, okay, bring in your reports or your essays to the front of the class. You're walking up there, right? Everybody else is walking and they're putting their, a good few pages worth of an essay on the teacher's desk, and you roll up there, right, and you pull out your one page with your one fucking sentence on it, and you put it in front of the teacher. How is the teacher going to be looking at your ass? She'll be looking at you as if you stuffed you just waved like dog shit under her nose or something. That's how she'll be looking at you, with a nasty look on her face, and she'll be like, nah, you ain't gonna cut it, but your ass is in detention. You know, calling your parents down to the school to have a fucking a serious talk about your how did they used to, when I used to get into shit, how did they say, they called me a cause for fucking concern. Hey, I'm kind of fuck school, man, and fuck all them teachers, and I look forward to seeing them in the kingdom. You know, like, man, school was some fucking shit, man. Yeah, I got called a cause for concern a great number of times by a great number of teachers. But I wasn't really doing anything bad. I just wasn't doing the work because I didn't give a shit. But I'd sit there silently. Just sit there silently. I wasn't talking, wasn't causing any chaos, wasn't throwing shit. But hey, yeah, they called me a cause for concern, like I was some kind of terrorist or some shit. But hey, that's another story for another day. The point of the matter is that this unruly woman, just look at her face, man. Like, I wouldn't want to have a conversation with this woman. You know you're not going to get through to her. She's just going to be bulldozing, shouting at the top of her lungs, trying to force her point. And as I said, look at the way she's standing, man. It's stupid. Well, it's not stupid when it's in its right form, because I love women. You know, the feminine form is beautiful. The Most High was the is the first author of beauty, but this is just out of order, man. Here she is with, as I said, the big booty hanging off the back. How can you take her seriously, right? Stuffing it in them trousers with this weak ass posture, with them stupid hand gestures, trying to preach. Nah, man, she's out of order, man. She's fucking out of order, man. She's fucking out of order, man. But hey, this time is coming to an end, man. This age is coming to an end. We're not gonna have to suffer this stuff for too much longer, because this world is on its way out, man. It's almost like, you got that term circling the drain, like when you have a bath, when you have a bath and you pull the plug, and the water starts to drain out, it's not long before that bath is going to be empty, and then all that's going to be left is the filth that has to be cleaned away. That's how it is with this world, man. All of the it is like a giant bathtub where the plug has been pulled and the water's draining out. And I'd use the water as a metaphor for the joy of this world. People are looking more miserable with each and every day that passes. People are looking more and more defeated and depressed. And at the end of it, all that's going to be left is the refuse, which is going to be destroyed with the flames of the fire, which is what's going to take place when Yahweh Shai comes back. So, having to see these things is vexing. Having to sit and, observe these things is vexing. But the good news is that it will all be over soon. So yeah, man, not much more to say on this. So with that, once again, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great most honorable well. Shalom to the sincere elect members of the elect men, I should say, of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. And if you're a woman and you're sincere, don't let this be you. Don't let this be you. This is a very bad example of how not to behave as a woman. So with that, shalom.